Hello everyone and welcome to Sketch Review, the series where I review movies and shows but in a fun, unique, artistic way. Today I'll be reviewing the third movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a sequel that feels like it's just here to cash in on the success of the first one and just set things up for the Avengers. I'm talking about Iron Man 2. It released on May 7th of 2010, directed by Jon Favreau, starring Robert Downey Jr., Gwyneth Paltrow, Don Cheadle, Sam Rockwell, Mickey Rourke, Scarlett Johansson, Samuel L. Jackson, Clark Gregg, John Slattery, Gary Shandling, Paul Bettany as the voice of Jarvis, and Jon Favreau as Happy Hogan, who's actually given something to do in this movie. I wasn't a big fan of the movie, even when it came out, and yeah, I still feel that way. In Russia, a news broadcast is showing the conference where Tony Stark revealed that he is Iron Man to the world as a sick Anton Vanko watches and then dies beside his son Ivan Vanko. It turns out Anton helped develop the arc reactor alongside Howard Stark. Ivan wants revenge on Stark for the life he and his father had to live, which prompts him to create his own arc reactor. 6 months after the first movie, Tony arrives at the Stark Expo in his new Iron Man armor, ready to lead a presentation for this technologically advanced center. It's only the beginning of the movie, and I feel like Tony's character has immediately regressed to the start of the first movie. I don't feel like this character would have an event showing off his suit and stuff after everything that happened because of all the weapons and things being used for the wrong purposes in the first movie, but oh well. After the expo, Tony sees that his blood is becoming more toxic due to the arc reactor in his chest that's also keeping him alive. He keeps the fact that he's dying a secret. And this is another problem that I have with the movie. Maybe if they weren't building up to a crossover movie, there would be potential that Tony might actually die. But because we know that this isn't the last time we'll see Iron Man, there are absolutely no stakes whatsoever for a major part of the movie. Stark gets summoned to a Senate Armed Forces committee hearing where he tells the government that he will not be giving his Iron Man suit schematics to them for military application. Defending him is his friend Rhodey, now played by Don Cheadle, who admits that while the Iron Man suit has several benefits for military application, it's better off in Tony's hands. And I gotta say, I like Don Cheadle in the role a lot more. Tony's business rival Justin Hammer, aka Sam Rockwell being the best part of this movie, arrives to testify against him, but Tony embarrasses him by hacking the computer screens, showing that Hammer has been working on several failed attempts to recreate the Iron Man armor. When he gets home, his blood toxicity has increased, and Jarvis tells him that there are no suitable replacements for the arc reactor, meaning he will die. But he obviously won't die because this isn't the last movie that he'll be in. In a series of rash decisions, Tony makes Pepper Potts the new CEO of Stark Industries and immediately hires Natalie Rushman as his assistant. While at a sponsored race in Monaco, Tony makes an even more irrational decision by replacing the driver to compete in the race himself. That is when Vanko makes his appearance as Whiplash and attacks the racers, including Tony. Now I get it, the character in the comics is Whiplash, but translating that into the movie is kind of weird because there's so many opportunities for any police officer, guard, even Iron Man to just instantly kill him since he's just a guy with whips and not armor, but they somehow aren't able to do that. With the help of Pepper and Happy, Tony suits up in his portable Mark V armor and defeats Vanko pretty quickly. While in prison, Vanko tells Stark about the truth of their fathers, and he later escapes from the prison with the help of Justin Hammer, while the rest of the world thinks that he's dead. As Tony's blood toxicity worsens, he throws a birthday party where he gets really drunk and acts a little dangerous in his Iron Man suit. Rhodey decides to step in, donning Tony's Mark II armor, and the two fight. Rhodey flies the suit over to the Air Force where they think it's a good idea for Justin Hammer to upgrade it despite seeing how he failed to do so earlier in the movie. Oh well. While this is going on, we get several scenes of Vanko modifying Hammer's knockoff Iron Man suits by turning them into controllable drones, them arguing about the Russian language and birds. It's definitely not boring at all. Later, Nick Fury shows up to tell Stark to get his act together, and it's revealed that Natalie Rushman, who's in like 3 scenes in this movie, is actually Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow. Fury then gives Stark a crate of his father's old research that might be able to help him fix his palladium poisoning. This is the part of the movie where you realize that it's just set up for the Avengers. Nick Fury's in it for like 5 seconds, and Black Widow doesn't add anything to the movie at all. She could have just been introduced in the Avengers. While going through his father's research and trying to make amends with Pepper, Tony sees that the diorama for the original Stark Expo and somehow pieces together that the layout of it is actually a secret diagram for the structure of a new element. It makes no sense at all, but whatever. Tony rigs up a machine to synthesize the new element where Agent Coulson, who, yes, he's in this movie, leaves to go to New Mexico. Again, this is just set up for another movie, and I don't know why he's even here. After discovering the new element, Vanko manages to call Stark, telling him that he's going to destroy his legacy. Realizing that something bad might happen, Tony puts in his new arc reactor and makes his way to the Stark Expo. At the Stark Expo, Justin Hammer gives a presentation unveiling his new Hammer Industries drones for all branches of the military, including the decked-out War Machine armor that Rhodey is wearing. Stark arrives in his new armor to tell them that something is wrong, and that's when Vanko takes remote control of the drones, including Rhodey's armor. Iron Man leads the drones and War Machine away from the expo, while Pepper, Happy, and the Black Widow try to resolve the issues on the ground. Black Widow manages to deactivate most of the drones, and Iron Man and War Machine take on the rest of them in a park area within the expo. That's when Vanko shows up in his new armor, and he gets defeated pretty much instantly, and the day is saved. Wish we could have actually seen him in action flying around, whipping his whips around, but we didn't get any of that. Tony and Pepper make up, him and Rhodey are given awards from the military for some reason, and the movie ends very anticlimactically. In a post-credits scene, Coulson has made his way to New Mexico at the crash site of Thor's hammer Mjolnir. A good point I can give this movie is the cinematography. The Mark V suit-up scene is one of the best in the MCU, and on the practical side of things, I feel like there are more moments of them actually wearing armors in this movie, which was nice to see. With over 200 more visual effects artists working on this movie compared to the first one, you can definitely tell. It was good in the first movie, but they definitely stepped it up in this one. Scenes like the Iron Man and War Machine team up at the Stark Expo look really good. I'd say the soundtrack to this movie is also pretty good. I do think that it has more variety compared to the first because of the variety in characters and locations compared to that movie. If it felt like this movie was rushed and was trying to cram in as many things as possible to set up the Avengers, that's because it was. Jon Favreau allegedly had a lot of problems with Marvel's higher-ups demanding more setup for S.H.I.E.L.D. and other Marvel movies, causing some conflict between him and the studio. This could also be part of the reason why he didn't direct Iron Man 3 despite continuing to play the character Happy Hogan. I also feel bad for Mickey Rourke. He put in a lot of time and effort crafting this character, from coming up with the tattoos, the pet bird, speaking in Russian, weight training, etc., but I feel like he had nothing to do for 90% of the movie. Apparently most of his scenes were cut too, involving his character development. Yeah, this movie's just not it. It really felt like they just wanted to capitalize on the surprise success of the first one and try to set up as much Avengers stuff as possible, leading to a movie that just felt kind of pointless. I'm going to give it my score of bad. It's not terrible because there are some redeeming qualities, but for me the cons far outweigh the pros. And sadly, that's what I thought of Iron Man 2. I was hoping maybe my opinion would change and I'd find this movie more enjoyable, but what did you think of Iron Man 2? Let me know in the comments, and while you're at it, leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and all that other stuff so you know when new videos come out, and I'll see y'all in my next sketch review on Thor.